In today's video, why running might not be the best way for you to lose body fat. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com, and I'm so excited to tell you guys that I'm not going to be shooting videos here anymore. You hear this echo? It's because we have no furniture left in our office. We're moving to a new location. In fact, a lot of it is because I want to have better quality video productions, and so today's video is just going to be one of the final videos at this location. But today's discussion is going to be over running or jogging for fat loss, and I want to talk about some specifics about how many calories we burn during our running sessions, and is that setting us up for success when it comes to fat loss if our goal is to lose body fat. And today's question, you guessed it, comes from my Instagram direct message right here, guys. So I think I'm getting pretty caught up on my messages from you guys, and this was a great question. So I want to read the question for you, then we're going to go over it and discuss it.
My question for you is that I have always been a runner, and I enjoy running. I want to know if running can be utilized to burn fat calories in order to lower body fat over time, or will it halt my fat burning? I'm currently 180 pounds, 15% body fat. I would like to reach 10% by running, weight training, and a good diet, with walking here and there. Thank you, Kurt.
Kurt, this is a wonderful question, and it's a question that I think a lot of us ask, because I think for most of us, when we start thinking about losing weight, we think, okay, I need to move more. What's probably the lowest cost of entry when it comes to moving? Put some shoes on, get outside your door, and run. Now, the first and most important thing you said here is that you enjoy running. So we're going to talk about what to do if you enjoy running when it comes to fat loss. Now, I did a video yesterday where I kind of talked about meal timing when it comes to fat loss. And I explained that if we spread our calories out over 4 meals, 7 meals, 1 meal, 2 meal, it really makes no difference if we're equating for calories when it comes to fat loss. So a lot of that is going to be in this video as well. You didn't mention your diet, and ultimately there's going to be some aspect of tracking calories. Now, I love to help people learn how to track macros. That's where I got started with this journey, and it's what really changed my life for the better, and I've helped thousands of people through that. Do you need to track your macros? Perhaps not, okay? If you're not so focused on just, putting on muscle and losing body fat, but there needs to be some mechanism where you can make adjustments, right? So whether that means you're eating the same things every day, you mentioned that you have a healthy diet. So let's talk about your cardio. Now, I've made a couple of videos on walking to get shredded. Why did I make those videos? Because I started using walking as my primary and only form of cardio to lose body fat a couple years ago in 2018, and it worked wonderfully for me. And I came from a background of playing sports. I love to run. I used to be a distance runner. I played baseball. I was a pitcher. They made us run distance all the time. I was actually very good at it. I enjoyed it. I've also grew up playing sports. So I've used movement and running as a form of exercise since my youth. I've also used it as a method of clearing my head. I used to just get out of the house and go for runs when I was stressed as a teenager. So I do love running. And when I talk about walking, and I think I've done 2 videos on walking, but they've done very well, I think people misunderstand the overall concept here. The concept for me is finding a pattern of movement that is very easy for you to do. So let's talk about the actual numbers of cardio. So I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing right now for cardio, and I'm going to show you how it would relate if I was actually doing, say, running. So I put here on the board so you can see the numbers specifically, and I'll probably zoom in, get some B-roll, and show you what that says right there. But here's the idea. I get up every day and I do a walking session. I get up and I walk on my treadmill. I have it set to a low incline. I think my speed at this point is about 3.2 inclines, I think 3.5, 4. And it says that I burn in my 45-minute session around 300 calories. Now, some days I feel good. I'll crank up the speed in the incline towards the end to kind of burn a few extra. Some days I feel beat up. I'll lower it, right? I auto-regulate it. But that 300 calorie session takes me 45 minutes. So I looked up some numbers. I wanted to estimate how many calories I would burn if I went for a jog every day. You love running, first and foremost. Do running. I love walking. I put on a show, I zonk out, I get my cardio in. You gotta find a way to enjoy the movement. That's really the key to success when it comes to cardio. I don't think that there is a one-size-fits-all for everybody. But when I plugged those numbers in, it said that at 215 pounds, if I ran for 45 minutes at a 10-minute mile pace, which I used to be a distance runner. I could probably do that in the past at 6-7 minutes a mile. I was very good, probably a little bit lighter back then. But my point being is, it says based on 10-minute mile pace, which I would consider very feasible, that I would burn about 768 calories. So 2 times as much. So you think, hey Paul, why aren't you going for a jog every day if you can burn twice as many calories if you're trying to lose weight? Well, here's where we run into a problem when it comes to running. Now, the research shows that people that run a set amount of miles per week and over are prone to injury. Well, what happens if you get injured? Well, you might not even be able to walk, right? If you get some type of tendonitis, an issue with your ankle. So there can be some issues related to kind of having the ability to continue doing cardio. That doesn't mean everybody. Obviously, what happens to your body is it physically adapts to doing cardio. You get better at performing it. You become more efficient. So this brings me to my next point, okay? If you avoid injury and you're able to continue running, great. However, those 768 calories that I'm burning this week, they're gonna become less and less. You do adapt to this. Your body becomes more efficient. And we'll notice this because we won't be as out of breath. It'll take us longer to, say, break a sweat or even start breathing deeply when we go for runs. I've definitely noticed this myself. So there is an adaptation when it comes to walking, but I find the limitations for walking can be overcome. How do you overcome the limitations for running? You gotta run faster, right? So if I'm gonna run the same 45 minutes, if in a few months I wanna burn the same 768 calories, I've gotta shorten my time. How do I do it with walking? I just increase the speed or the incline. It can be a little bit difficult when it comes to jogging, I guess, unless you're on a treadmill, to kind of increase the intensity of the run, especially if you're using the same places. I can easily, for myself, just increase the incline, and that really increases the calories burned while walking. So I also find that for my ability to adapt to an exercise like running outside, well, it's just a better option for me. However, you said it over and over, you love running, so run. Just make sure you're paying attention to a few key things. Don't get injured. And certainly you have to understand how your calories are related to your daily intake. Okay, so the way we adjust and continue to lose fat is by adjusting our calorie intake or our calories burned, or both in combination throughout the process, right? Because our bodies are very dynamic, they're not static. What works for us at the beginning of a fat loss phase will not work for us at the end of a fat loss phase. You're talking about 2 different systems, okay? So ultimately what I like to do is continue with my clients in making adjustments. If I have a client who's jogging and they're telling me they're at 45 minutes and they're at 2,000 calories and say they're not making any progress, I'll say, okay, this week we're gonna drop you down to maybe 1,750 calories and we're gonna start jogging for, say, 60 minutes. That increase in activity and decrease in calories is gonna result in a loss of body fat. Can you do that through running? Absolutely. Now I want to give you my final point, and I think what's the most important difference that I've noticed since I've stopped running. Okay, so I used to do a lot of high intensity cardio, running sprints, and some of that would involve warming up with jogging. But what I found was there was one adaptation to running that I didn't like, and that was my resting heart rate would get very low. So what happens when your resting heart rate gets very low? When you're sitting still, you'll actually find that you might even get dizzy if you stand up. Well, why is this? Well, because your heart becomes so efficient at pumping blood, it pumps slower. And so you have less blood moving throughout your body, less oxygen, you might get a little bit dizzy. I also found that through walking, my appetite is a bit suppressed. I don't feel hungry right after I do my walk. However, when I was running, I was starving all the time. And the research actually shows that when people perform something like walking, they're less inclined to overeat their calories than they are if they're doing more moderate to high intensity cardio. Now, does that matter if you're keeping your calories exactly the same every day, if you're meticulous? No, but you didn't mention your calories. You didn't mention being meticulous. You mentioned that you were going to eat a clean diet. To me, clean diet means you're going to be eating a little bit based on how you feel. And if you're running, you might feel like you need more food when your goals are actually to get leaner. That can become a problem. So again, take this for what it's worth. Go for the runs, my man. Lift some weights. Just understand that you have to be able to look at the big picture. How many calories are you burning? How many calories are you taking in? And are you making progress? Take pictures, use the scale, use some measurements, pay attention to how your clothes fit, and just keep making progress to that 10%. All right, guys, have a great Friday, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.